Comcast is delivering extraordinary experiences in live sports. Through the incredible broadcast and storytelling from NBC, innovative and personalized viewing features on Xfinity and Peacock, and the country's most reliable Wi-Fi, viewers can enjoy every game-changing play faster and more seamlessly than ever. All on a network built to deliver unforgettable moments as close to live as possible. The ultimate experience for the American sports fan. Learn more at ComcastCorporation.com/sports.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You know those friends who support your preference for podcasts over music on road trips? That's the energy State Farm brings to insurance. With over 19,000 local agents, they help you find the coverage that fits your needs, so you can spend less time worrying about insurance and more time enjoying the ride. Download the State Farm app or go online at statefarm.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Now streaming. Disney Plus invites you to go behind the scenes with Taylor Swift in an exclusive 6-episode docuseries.
I wanted to give something to the fans that they didn't expect.
The only thing left is to close the book.
The end of an era. And don't miss Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, the final show, featuring for the first time the Tortured Poets Department. Now streaming, only on Disney Plus.
Chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more, can make me feel like a spectator in my own life.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for those with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It's the #1 prescribed branded chronic migraine preventive treatment.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor, visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com, or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
Back with another episode of Keeping Current. It has been a little bit of time. This is Thad Bell from the KC Soccer Journal. With me from Carrie and Off to See the Wizards in the KC Soccer Journal, Daniel Sperry, friend of Off to See the Wizards and the KC Soccer Journal podcasts, and many other things.
Many others.
Diverse Daniel Sperry.
Fan of the San Jose Shark. The best golfer on this phone call or video call, whatever. The
Podcast.
Recording thing.
Streaming.
I don't know. I have a medal from conference in high school.
That's more than I have from my high school golf.
That's what
Thank
I'm
God
saying.
I got better when I got older.
My school didn't have golf.
I haven't touched a golf club since really.
All right.
This is not a golf podcast, so
no.
We'll move on. Sorry, folks.
I'm quitting if it is a golf one. The only thing more boring than playing golf is talking about golf. I apologize to all the people who love golf. We have had a little time between when we were at last able to get together, just life and stuff, and lots of games and rainstorms and everything else. Last time, since we've last talked, the Current beat Gotham in regular NWSL play 2-1. And then they played in the Teal Rising Cup. How do we want to approach this? We want to talk about the Gotham game and then the Teal Rising Cup a little bit.
Let's talk about the game that matters.
Oh, to the Current, the Teal Rising Cup matters immensely. So I assume you mean Gotham game, though.
We'll say the one that matters for the regular season.
All right, they got back on the win streak. They got back on the winning side. They did still give up a goal first, though. What stood out, if you can remember that game?
Watching the highlights, Lorena just has to be better on that goal that was given up. It's from distance, but it's outside the box and it's completely on the ground. There's no height to it. Actually, I missed it I was talking to my dad, and he was actually making fun of me because I had a stiff neck and I couldn't really look. I had to, like, turn my entire body at him, and he was making fun of me, and the ball went in. So
I was looking down and typing something about a previous play and looked up and the ball was in and I was like, "What the heck?" And I saw the replay and I was just floored that it ended up in the back of the net. I'm with Carrie. Lorena has to be better. I thought the Current were by and large the better team from the start. I didn't think Gotham really like they were pushing them. They had that chance where Timma goes in behind and Duran unfortunately blows her ACL on that play. It wasn't a foul. It was called a foul. It was a
Right.
terrible foul call. And really unfortunate that Duran, blew out her knee. And I'm wish her all the best. But that, the Current jumped on them pretty quick, and I felt like they were going to get a goal, but then they kind of got lost in the game a little bit. And Jaden Shaw is still a good enough player. The shot, I'll give her credit. It was on target from outside the box in a odd way. You would ask your goalkeeper to be a lot better there, but it's a good shot. And something we can talk about later, Lorena's injury, I wonder how much that affected her ability to get to that play.
Fair question. It did not take too long, though, for the Current to bounce back and level it. I think it was like 10 minutes later, roughly.
Yeah.
Dabinia, right?
no, we gotta talk about the assist from Temois though to Dabinia.
So was it an intentional back heel to Dabinia, or was it a attempted like back heel flick shot that just kind of came off as the perfect touch?
From watching the replay, I'm gonna say that it was expected. She meant to do it. Um, Whether or not she actually knew Dabinia was there could be another question.
Yeah. I
Well,
think
I'll
she knew
say
somebody was there.
if you look back at it, both Deb and Sentnor are there. Sentnor would have had the tighter angle to get to it, but both would have been there because they're always in the same place together. But they on the field. And I will say, like it just was one of those things that I initially took it as like a scuff shot, and the more I watch a replay, the more I buy 100% that it was intentional from Temwa to kind of flick that on. It's a really sneaky, deft touch for her in that moment, to flick that on to and trust whoever is back there to get on the end of it. And of course, Deb has a penchant for making that late timed run to the back post off the top of the box when she's in that spot, and it's really well worked.
When it happened, I took it to be intentional. Now, again, I'm live and I'm shooting, so some of that stuff I don't see exactly the same way as when I look at a replay. But live, I took it to be intentional, but I couldn't tell you if it was intentional for Dabinia or for Sentner, who was there. He said so. Could have been either one,
Yep.
but it was an intentional play, at least apparently. So good on her. That's
It's fantastic.
her combining with that sort of thing is probably continuing to improve.
Yeah.
So they go into half. Actually, I'm going to go back though for a second. You said Duran actually tore an ACL on that play. That's too bad. I didn't realize that had been reported. But I don't follow them close enough to notice.
I unblocked them just to see.
Timois came out in the 41st minute, which seemed a very odd timing for them to do. I get that they were keeping her on limited minutes, but just basically 4 minutes before half just seems like an odd timing. Like, could have had her just jog around for a few more minutes.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if maybe instead of a time limit, they had like a mileage limit on her. So, or, put her out there, try to get confidence going, get that first goal in. They just so happened to get scored on first.
Yeah.
One of those situations, get the momentum going.
I think it was interesting hearing Armas talk about it after the game. I think there was a very clear effort to play Chewinga with the best players, and not run her out there in a game that's out of hand. I think a couple of times last week they tried to play for the second half in a game and found themselves wildly unable to surmount whatever was going to come in the second half. no matter what they did. And I think it was good on them to choose to go at it that way from the first half. I think it's odd because you don't see it, but I come back to a 2023 Sporting Kansas City. Gadi Kinda started 30 minutes. Now, it was an Open Cup game against a nobody team from Tulsa, but Gadi Kinda comes on, he plays 30 minutes and then was yanked. 30 minutes. Now, Sporting was up 3-0 at that point. They were beating the brakes off a semi-pro team. It's a different type of intensity, but they very clearly at that point they hadn't won at all in any competition for 10 games. They were in serious issues. They were trying to get players back healthy. Everyone is questioning and calling what's going wrong. Why is this? It's time to fire everybody and start over. And that game was kind of a shot in the arm for everybody, a shot in the leg for everybody to do it and to have that player right away and make that impact from the start. I thought was so crucial and important in that moment. And I think you saw it with Temwa, the type of impact that she had. I mean, the midfield, now we can talk later about what happened in the midfield, but the midfield was on it. The defense played, the back line played the best it's played all year long on that. For the most part, they had the midfield locked down. They had the forward line was active and moving, high pressing when they needed to. They were and they showed much more activity than they did in that game against Portland in the first half and really for parts of the second half. And it was kind of a statement for him to do that. And I know it's odd, and certainly questioned it online, but I'll give him credit for using it as the emotional boost for the team, while also um, to a point where that team really felt confident about itself and confident enough, despite what had happened in the last week, to get to keep the ball rolling and end up winning that game. But um, yeah, it was interesting though. You joke about the mileage thing. I wonder how much of that was taken into account because he was talking about it after the game against Corinthians, or sorry, after the game against Palmeiras in the Teal Rising Cup. And he said that if she had met her workload in the 25th minute of that game, he would have subbed her off. She had met that. She didn't meet that workload until right kind of in the end of stoppage time in the second half. So they were said, all right, we're good. We'll leave her through. They took her off. But he was very adamant that there's a workload threshold that they are putting her through at the moment. And it's not so much a minutes restriction. It is a workload type of a thing. And I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting they do that. I mean, I still feel like I would have tried to at least get her to the half, but um, just tell her to coast at that point, which probably is not an easy thing to do. But it is
No way.
interesting that they have a workload tracker essentially, like how much and how long she's ran. Well, I mean, not all of them. It's not just her. But. All right, so halftime. Uh, the
Wait,
well,
actually, can we go back and talk about or make fun of Gotham's goalkeeper AKB about for forgetting about the new goalkeeper waste rule, time stoppage?
Which I joke that it's a rule made specifically for her, but it was actually really the goalkeeper timeout one that in NWSL that was definitely made for AKB. But yeah, that was hilarious.
Yes, I mean, when it first happened, it felt like she had literally just gotten the ball. It was maybe like 2 seconds, and then they said, "All right, corner kick for the current," and everyone was kind of like quite like I think everyone probably went to Twitter to go see what Sperry said.
what did Sperry say?
I laughed at it because it was longer than 5 seconds. Um, the rule is 5 seconds once you are free and clear of any player in front of you. So the current cleared out, and she kept going. She saw the ref give the count, and the referee got to 5, and she tried to drop the ball and kick it. The problem is, you get to 5, you've already you've hit your 5 seconds.
Right.
That's it. So it's not because you kicked the ball before the referee blew the whistle. You didn't kick the ball before the 5 seconds. The referee is blowing the whistle to tell you it's now a corner kick. And so she kind of had that argument with the ref too, while Duran was down and getting help and stuff like that, because that play was like just before it too.
Right.
Then she does it again, but after this whole long conversation, she sat there and held the ball and stared down the referee for the second time and waited. And then, right as the referee did it, she tried to drop it and then she lost her mind. And it's one of those things of like, hi, play it by the rule, follow it. I appreciated the referee doing that. Um, Enforcing those rules. They're there for a reason. Um, some of these NWSL games have an average ball in play time that is just way too low.
Right.
And it's the amount of treatment, the amount of injuries, the amount of stoppages, goalkeepers going down, feigning injuries. So you have a game basically split into like 15-minute periods for 90 minutes, which is crazy. So, yeah, especially when you get the water breaks in the summer, we're going to have 10 minutes of stoppage time every single time out. So I'm glad that they are doing something about it. And it was hilarious.
Oh, it was
It
great to see,
was.
especially because it happened very shortly after that as well.
The only thing I'll say, current fans, if you're listening to me, it does not count for corner kicks. Stop counting down for corner kicks. It does not work that way. She doesn't need to have the ball down and play a corner kick in 5 seconds. She does need to do so in a reasonable time. But we got to start like, oh my gosh, the current fans that were in front of the press box sitting there counting 5, 10, no,
Yeah.
4, 5, 6. She's like barely put the ball down. Like neither team is actually ready for this ball to come. It's like, dude, not one current player is begging for time wasting issues at that point too. So like, let's relax.
There are some very knowledgeable fans at the current games, and there are some fans who have never read the rules of soccer. And I can say that probably about every sporting event, but I'm quite interested, like, because I am so close to fans when I'm shooting down there, hearing the conversations behind me sometimes is I want to turn around and go, "No, you don't know." Like,
Oh, I've definitely side-eyed my dad, and he's definitely side-eyed me within the last few seasons. It's crazy when they're looking up, like, the history of sporting or of, Casey Current, and then they
yeah.
see that there was an old team, and they go on that Wikipedia.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I'm happy there are a lot of new fans out there. Just it
It'll
will take a
it'll
while to
take
educate
time. Yeah.
some of them. Again,
Yes.
there was a game towards the end of last year that I turned around because I was hearing fans behind me talk all the time, and there was one person back there who was very much educating the people around her and just about the rules and why they were doing things and stuff like that. And towards the end of the game, I just turned around and said, "I really appreciate you." And so just because sometimes I will turn around and talk to people when there's breaks or things are going on, but I was just very much appreciating that there are people who are very knowledgeable and out there helping others.
My favorite was a guy trying to explain to his friend that if it's still tied, then they will go into stoppage time and penalty kicks. And I said, no, they won't. That's for a regular season, not for a regular season game.
Right.
And the guy said, thanks for your opinion. My bad.
Carrie out here, woman splaining.
Yeah, my bad. They hate when girls know ball.
Oh man,
I appreciate it. So
let him have it, Carrie.
yeah, just point them out to me so I can take a picture of them and put them on the pod. How about that? I probably won't do that, but it still would be kind of fun. All right. We had 2 goals in the first half. We had referees enforcing actual rules, which is nice to have happen. I just hope they stay consistent with that is the biggest thing on that. Is I've seen a lot of times in MLS and sometimes in NWSL, there's focus on enforcing certain rules, and that lasts for the first third of the season, and then everybody forgets about it. So hopefully they do continue to enforce those rules well. But when Timwa went out, Haley Hopkins came in, and she will be a main character in a later episode or a later segment of this show. But in the second half, Michelle Cooper gets a goal to take the 2-1 lead, assist to Ali Sentner. And honestly, it's been long enough. I don't even remember what the hell happened on that goal.
Michelle Cooper is at the top of the box, kind of outside. And Meg's Lily Real and it slides right into the corner of the goalpost.
Perfect. Thank you for that replay.
I'm watching it right now.
I think the most interesting thing about that build up for me is the slide over effect caused by Emily Sonnet being Emily Sonnet and barking with the referee about a very obvious foul instead of actually getting back. And the Current played the quick free kick. They launch it forward, it pops back out, and then it's a quick pass right back to from Setnor to Cooper out on the wing. Cooper's in space. Real was already central, kind of covering for that lofted ball that kind of went to Haley Hopkins, who was playing left, but for Temwa, but also kind of being a physical reference point up top for that long ball that gets clipped back in before that play. And Sonnet's nowhere to be found. So then Real has to cover the central gap, but then it bounces back out to Sentnor, who won the second ball, and Sentnor slams it to Cooper, who does exactly what Carrie said. And Real is left reeling, trying to get over there and cover the space, which is why she's stretching, which is why that ball is able to nutmeg Cooper, or Cooper's able to nutmeg her with the ball and nestle it in the back of the net. It's just a very funny domino effect watching it from the press box, because I was just laughing at like Sonnet like not getting back, and then they went and scored immediately because of it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like Sonnet was nowhere near the back line on that entire play because she was so busy trying to bark at the ref about a very obvious foul call right before that.
And her celebration, her celebration really seemed like she needed that because she goes running over to the bench for the coach Rocky.
Yeah. That actually has been a thing with these last 3 games is a lot of the goal scorers have ran right to the bench to be with the subs and the coaches, almost more than with the teammates out on the field. So, all right. So I think the significant thing from that game is that could be a point that we look at that the Current turned the tide and are back to being good again. We'll still have to see when they play real games again, but that midfield, they don't have a true 6, but Croy Bethune was kind of in the midfield, and it worked.
It did. Croy was fantastic in the midfield in that game. Like defensively too. I was very much like I was not familiar with your game meme is like what was in my head about that, because we've been making the joke, the whole oops all tens kind of thing, like who this team is right now, and they've got 2 9.5s and like 7 tens basically, and in that roster, and you're kind of like, how's it going to work? And oh yeah, by the way, Croy Bethune can play a really mean midfield, and that was a heck of a performance by her. And I'm trying to pull up her stats real quick, because she was all over the place. 89 minutes played. She had a chance created and a shot on target, which I didn't love her shot on target. I thought she could have just passed it to Temwa, but that was okay. Sorry, it passed it to Hopkins, I think, in that moment. 25 of 33 accurate passes. She had an expected assist at 0.17. The defensive contributions, though, 3 tackles, 3 interceptions, 9 ball recoveries, 6 to 10 ground duels, 1. And she did commit 2 fouls there, but 7 passes into the final third. Those are the things for me that, like, I was very impressed with her playing kind of that ball progressor role, more so than Labonta, I think, in a way. Labonta was very much the destroyer. We're going to run everywhere and just snuff things out, and kind of organize and stay home. And that duo worked, and we saw that duo again in the Teal Rising Cup, which we can talk more about in the midfield. But yeah, Croy was super good in the midfield.
Yeah, totally agree. Surprisingly good. Again, I would love to see a real 6 back there, but they don't have another one right now, but she did well, so.
She did well. Also, Kayla Sharple's best game, and Gabby Robinson's best game of the year.
Yeah. I was a little concerned at first because our only shots on target in the first few minutes of the game was Kayla Sharples, and I was like, if we're having a defender go up and get those touches, little concerned, but glad they brought it back.
Robinson, Gabrielle Robinson was really solid. I thought she doesn't get a great score on like the match score from Fatma, but 31 of 38 accurate passes out of the back. I didn't think she made any like overly risky plays. And I mean, she and Izzy largely held players like Esther and Jaden Shaw in check in that game. And once Jaden Shaw came off, I thought the game was pretty much over. I didn't really think that Gotham were going to be able to surmount and get that goal. Although Ann Kutchenberger's AKB's shot from distance in stoppage time scared the bejesus out of me for a bit.
Oh,
So
I would have deleted everything.
uh,
I wasn't a fan that they went to a 5-back at the very end for stoppage time. It just felt like that plus Gotham sending up everyone to try to get a point, salvage a point, did not have good vibes written all over it.
yeah, part of me wonders if it was just about making sure they had enough people on that were like actual aerial problems on set pieces, considering some of the players at that point that were out there for Gotham, how much of it was having people who can defend aerially. You know, I love you, Croy Bethune, but she's like 5'4", not a aerial defender for the Currents in that moment. So late, yeah.
Yeah, because Lainey Rouse came on for her, if I remember right.
Yes.
Yep. And Rouse is like at least 5'8", 5'9". So
She's tall.
we can talk more about her later.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts from that game?
We did see Amelia White's debut.
Yeah.
Wasn't great. We can talk about it. She definitely stepped up in Teal Rising. But I mean, she had one chance, kind of botched it a little bit.
And this could be a game we look back at towards the end of the season that this could be a turnaround game or could be a fluke. Story remains to be told or written, but this was a good performance for him and getting back on the right side of the track. And again, the reminder that all those bad games was on the road and turf and people injured and all that stuff. Having Michelle Cooper back, having Timois back, all contributed to these things, this game being much better. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. We're back. So, after that, they had the Teal Rising Cup. Do we need to break down both games or just kind of in general?
Pepsi Prebiotic Cola in original and cherry vanilla. That Pepsi taste you love with no artificial sweeteners and 3 grams of prebiotic fiber. Pepsi Prebiotic Cola. Unbelievably Pepsi.
Start your day with Quaker Protein Instant Oatmeal. The instant oatmeal ready to help you tackle whatever your day brings. Like wrangling your toddler into their car seat. That was fun. Coaching your 6th graders soccer team. Go girls! And carrying all the groceries in one trip. Whew. Try Quaker Protein Instant Oatmeal, Granola, and Bars. Great taste and a good source of protein. Quaker. Bring out the good.
K-pop Demon Hunters Haja Boys breakfast meal and Huntrix meal have just dropped at McDonald's. They're calling this a battle for the fans. What do you say to that, Rumi?
It's not a battle. So glad the Saja Boys could take breakfast and give our meal the rest of the day.
It is an honor to share.
No, it's our honor.
It is our larger honor.
No, really. Stop.
You can really feel the respect in this battle. Pick a meal to pick a side.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
Right now at the Home Depot, shop Spring Black Friday savings and get up to 40% off, plus up to $500 off select appliances from top brands like Samsung. Get a fridge with 0 clearance hinges, so the doors open fully even in tighter spaces in your kitchen. And laundry that saves you time, like an all-in-one washer-dryer that can run a full load in just 68 minutes. Shop Spring Black Friday savings, plus get free delivery on appliance purchases of $998 or more at the Home Depot. Offer valid April 9th through April 29th, U.S. only. See store online for details.
I mean, we could talk about it in general. Yeah. Current won the first game. I'll do Thad's job for him now. Current win the first game 2-1 over Corinthians or Corinthians, however if you want to say it like a proper Brazilian. Corinthians got a leveler there. Gabriel Zanotti scored for the was it Gabriel Zanotti or was it Jacqueline? My bad. I think it might have been Jacqueline. Anyways, Jacqueline scored for Corinthians to cancel out the current opener, thanks to Teal Cup Rising legend Haley Hopkins. But Avery Clark,
the hero,
Avery Cook, Avery Clark. Gosh,
Clark.
Avery.
She did
Clark.
cook, but
I'm sorry, I was really second guessing that because someone in the post game called her Avery Scott, and then I said Avery Clark, and I was like, oh my gosh, did I say it wrong? Someone in post game after the Corinthians game called her Avery Clark or Avery Scott, which, to be fair, I hadn't heard of Avery Clark before that night before she subbed onto the field. However, I was quite impressed with her header.
Yeah, that was a banger of a header.
It was a Thunder's header.
Yes.
Timed it right, smashed it off the underside of the bar. Really cool moment for her. Would have loved to have chatted with her after the game, but she, is quite the interesting player. Kind of bet on herself coming out of college and to try pro and try and get into a system, and is doing so with the KC Current too, and might have a shot someday to be in the NWSL.
Yeah. And for anybody who did not know, Avery Clark is a KC Current 2 player. They had several Current 2 players on the roster for that game to fill it out, with not wanting to have too many players play too many games in a short time span for some of the players who are coming back off of injury or have more senior in their years. But it was a good opportunity for some of them to get out there and play against good competition, and Avery definitely stepped up for that goal. Anything else from that game?
I thought it was there were two players that stood out to me in that game. One was Amelia White, because I thought for a rookie, she was shoving players off the ball and like dribbling past players, and the balance was just, to me, really freaking impressive from her. Like she just stayed on her feet, wrote out tackles and challenges from Corinthians, and kind of was kept a close dribble. She's pacey to get in behind players, not tempo fast, but she's probably one of the faster forwards on the team, and she has a good center of gravity in terms of like being able to keep her balance, use her hips, use her body to keep her balance, and kind of ride out challenges. And if the finishing end product is ever truly there for her, watch out, because she's a very, very dangerous player. And I think that's the part of her game that really needs to grow and expand. But like, she makes the right runs, she times them to perfection. She's great with the ball. She understands the timing of ball movement, run timing, offense. She blew me away.
No, she played really well, man. I don't really have much to add to that, but I was very impressed with her watching it kind of up close while I'm shooting.
Carrie, did you have someone that stood out to you?
I did not watch the first game.
Boo. Okay.
Apologies.
So then I'll hop back on my grandstand. My second player is Lainey Rouse. The rookies, I'm dead serious. The rookies down the right-hand side of that field, with White and Lainey Rouse. Like, Lainey Rouse was holding her own against some very good attackers, very good wingers that play for Corinthians. And she did so again the next game. Like, just, yeah, was again impressed with her ability to read the play and react, win the ball, put in a tackle, kind of again play out of the back, dribble it up. I didn't quite see her in terms of like service necessarily, but her defensive game reminded me of Haley Mace. But I think she has the penchant to get forward just a tiny bit more than Mace did, at least in the most recent years with the current that Mace.
Yeah, you gotta remember though, she did used to get forward a lot.
Oh yeah,
And I think that's
I know.
more of
I'm
a
saying,
responsibilities thing for her,
yes,
what she was asked to do.
correct. But it definitely seems like he is releasing both fullbacks at times, and when she, even though she does not go all the way up, I think she is very good kind of in that middle third, the transitional game. Sometimes you need a fullback who can do that. You know, it might be great if they're okay in the defensive third, okay in the first third, in the final third, but can't help the ball progress from the defensive third to the final third. It's not very helpful. And she is someone who can be a ball progressor down that wide side when Michelle Cooper is in there, and is more tucked inside, or if Michelle Cooper isn't in there and it's someone like Haley Hopkins who they're using her as a vertical target, then there's more space there for a player like Rouse to kind of absorb along the side.
I'd actually been looking forward to seeing Rouse play more because when we were seeing them sign all these rookies out of college or school or whatever, and Rouse was one I'd heard would be, competing for time because we were looking at, um, Ellie Bravo Young on one side and Izzy on the other, and Katie Scott being out there as an option because we've liked her, but then all of a sudden she had to play midfield. Crazy. Um, but Lainey Rouse was one that I had heard was a potential to be, fighting for time this year, and she looks like she might be. All right,
Me
since
too.
Carrie didn't want to watch that game, kidding, Carrie. We all have things going on. The current advance after beating Corinthians, and they end up facing Palmeiras.
Yeah, that isn't silent.
Again, you can give me crap for how I pronounce things. I admit it. That was and Sperry is going to give me crap for this because I know he will. So I am going to just say it up front. I was joking with him a little bit before the game about Bia getting a hat trick, and he's like, only if it's a 9-3 win for the current will they Bia have a chance to get a hat trick. So I said it.
You
I
called
will
it kind
give.
of.
Yeah, well,
There wasn't
yeah,
a hat trick, but that scoreline,
yeah.
take away two of those, and it's pretty close.
Yeah.
It was getting up there. So I was waiting for Sperry to give me crap after the game about that,
Yeah,
even though I wasn't too serious.
no, he wasn't terribly serious, but I think it was quite funny. Be a hat trick, dude. It's gonna be 9-3 if that's the case.
I was still kind of hoping it happened, but
Yes, with all due respect to Palmeiras, I think it was really obvious from watching their game against America that it was that the quality gap between Palmeiras and Corinthians was pretty large. And I figured it was going to be a larger win for the current, especially if they played some starters through the first half, and they did, and they walloped them.
yeah, I didn't get to see the first game on either day, so I really didn't have a good comparison in that regard. But I expected them to be a little better than that, quite honestly. And I know they were pretty harmed by national team call-ups too, if I understood correctly. I don't know how many of they lost, but and the current we're missing Cooper and Sentner to the full national team and Katie Scott to the U20 national team. And were they missing somebody else?
Well, technically, Lorena was injured.
Yes.
Lorena was supposed to go to Brazil. She picked up a hip injury in that game against Gotham that was enough for the team to kind of be worried about it and her to be worried about it. So she did not travel to Brazil and instead stayed back with the current. So when we were doing some media day stuff for Teal Rising Cup, Lorena was out there and it was, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Shouldn't she be with Brazil? Like, well, she picked up an injury.
Well, Timwa was called up too, but the current declined to let her go.
The current declined to let her go for good reason, in my opinion. But we can discuss that another time.
It could still come back to bite them, even if it was for a good reason. But Depends on how that gets adjudicated or if it even goes that far. All right, 6-1 blowout. Bia gets the goal for Palmeiras, and
It's another set piece.
yeah, she is kind of good on that though. They were able to defend her on a couple of set pieces, but she did get that one.
That's true. I would just I was hoping for a Bia goal the entire time. I wish that she didn't look so sad when she got it, being
Yeah.
down 5-0 at that point, 5-1, 6-1, whenever she got that goal. But also I just would not like to have the current give up yet another set piece goal. Be a goal, yes. Off a set piece, no.
Pretty sure the goal that they gave up again for Corinthians was off of set piece too.
Thank you, Sperry.
Way to make Carrie feel better.
Hey, at least Gotham's goal
I know.
didn't come off a
So I
set
was gonna
piece.
say, Jaden
It was
Shaw's
just a
wasn't a
really
set
bad
piece.
one.
All right.
Anyways,
positives from that game. Well, they won. Timoa got her first goal coming back from injury, and Amelia White got a goal. She deserved that from how well she was playing. So she got her first professional goal, right?
Yeah. The patented Schross.
Yes.
The Benny Feilhaber.
So it kind of, to me, like 2 of their first 3 goals was almost unintentional because one was a own goal from Palmeiras and then that one. But it counts in the long run. When some people look back at the stats, they will probably not remember that.
Haley Hopkins' second goal was like the first. Yeah, her first goal offside by like at least 3 steps. If not
I wondered
more.
about that, but
she looked so offside. On replay, she was so offside. No VAR, ref didn't raise the flag. I was stunned that the flag never came up. A little bit of home cooking never hurt.
Yeah. But she ends up with a hat trick. And I did get a chance to vote for player of the game. And I wrote Hopkins, H. Hopkins, and Haley H. as my 3 choices for MVP of the tournament.
Can you believe that Haley Hopkins has a hat trick for this club before Timoa does?
You know, what's interesting, both hat tricks for this club have only come in non-NWSL.
Yeah.
The Challenge Cup, thank you, Hammy, hat trick Hammy, and the great Teal Rising Cup performance of Haley Hopkins.
So apparently you also need an H last name.
I guess so.
Looking down the roster to see if there's any other H last names.
Well, does Timoa just take the C off the front of her name? It's Timoa Hawinga.
Can we start pronouncing that and see if we can get that to catch on?
No, absolutely not. Golly.
I will when I tweet out this episode.
I don't know. No disrespect, Timoa. We love you.
We just want
a hat trick.
It is kind of surprising she doesn't have one, but at the same time, this was not NWSL competition in a game that counted, so
right.
It's a little perhaps easier for Haley to get that than who played more of the game. So anyway, any lessons learned from this game?
Well, again, Lainey Rouse is a baller. She was very good again. Said Amelia White. To me, man, I remember when the Current acquired Haley Hopkins from the Courage ahead of last year, and I said, Thad, back me up on this. I said,
I gotta wait to see what you say to back you up.
I said that I know she's played winger, but she intrigues me with her touch and her control over the ball and her height and physicality. If she could come in and be a target striker replacement while Bia comes back from injury, because Bia had to work her way back in. She was going to miss like the first 4 or 5 games, I think, of the regular season last year. And I don't think she played a 90-minute game until much later. Yeah. I said, and for me, like that, just the physical profile and what I had seen of Hopkins at North Carolina, I wondered if that would be the case. Now, she's played on the wing mostly for the current. She did play a little bit at striker last year in the Teal Rising Cup, which of course, when she was phenomenal and got some goals and the MVP award. I just think as much as we talk about how this team misses Bia, and if we continue to have struggles with Sentnor and Dabinia, like tripping over each other kind of in the same spots, trying to get to the same ball instead of making different runs. Like Hopkins and Dabinia were phenomenal together in the middle. I think that's a combination that would have undone a lot of NWSL teams, to be honest. And I think Hopkins has a player that has the mentality to be up for the fight, to be a hold up striker. She has the grit, she has the ability, she has the confidence playing back to goal at times. She has the striker's knack to like she took that one off her chest for the first goal against Corinthians, takes it off of her chest and turns and whips that volley into the bottom corner.
Yeah.
And like that was good. Like when she gets her chances, she doesn't really miss them. And so if the current continue to have struggles with Sentnor and Dabinia getting on the same page, can Chris, can we just try Hopkins at striker for a little bit and just see how it unlocks it in an NWSL game? Because I think I think it's really clear that she has the skill set and capability.
Yeah.
And I know I watched Chad Smith put this out there over the weekend. I'm going to give him a shout out, and I'm actually going to come to his defense on this because he put it out over the weekend, and I saw him getting ripped up on Reddit and on a Facebook chat, like a Facebook like fan thread
Yeah.
for the current of like, that's crazy. How dare you bench Ali Sentnor? How dare you do this? I'm like, dude, you play to win the game. And if Haley Hopkins makes this team the best by playing striker, then you ought to think about it.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that point. And I will back you up that yes, I know we both discussed Haley being a potential striker when she came to this team after what we watched her, because she had speed, touch, all of those things, right? All the things that she needed to do. And I was surprised she did not get more time last year at that spot. I don't know that I would quite ready to say let's put her in instead of Sentner, because Sentner has perhaps a higher ceiling for certain things, but
Yes, I'll give you that, and I'll agree with that.
because I don't see like Allie is obviously cracking the national team right now, right? She's a regular call up. She's been in the U23s. She scores goals fairly regularly for the national team. So maybe we also need to figure out what she's doing with the national team. It's may not be as applicable for the current because of other players, but like you said, her and Dabinia kind of getting away with each other sometimes. If Croy's a winger that day, she's getting in that spot too. It's you do have to find out how to play with the players you have. So it might be right that Haley is a good option for that, and you can just rotate resting Allie and Dabinia and Croy and some other players and rotate through that and have players more rested at the end of the year, and Hopkins being one of those alternatives through two couple different positions.
Yeah,
I would not argue with that.
I thought about with Two Rising Cup happening last year and her also being MVP there. And we still didn't see her too much, but we were also at a point in the season where if it was broke, don't fix it. We're gonna keep winning these games, get that shield. We're early enough into the season that we had this. It's not going the way that everyone wanted it to go, so why not throw it out there? See what sticks.
Well, I think it's a very valid idea, quite honestly. It's not a thing that I would go, oh, it's absolutely wrong. But it's also I would want to see how what you would consider the first choice team continues to do, because they've only been together a little bit.
Right.
And 3 of those games, again, I have been critical of Armas. I've been critical of the hire of Armas, but 3 games those 3 games in the middle, the first game was a win, 3 games on the road, on turf, most of it, and all that stuff was terrible. And it was going to be a struggle if it was Vlaco with last year's best choice team. So,
well, You remember last time the current did 3 games in multiple days, they lost 2 of them back to back on the road. So
Yeah. So I mean, this was barely worse, and you were still missing Michelle and Timoa in those games. So again, I will be critical of Armis and all those things that I've said 100 times now. I don't have to like always repeat it, but at the same time, we did not expect them to win those 3 games. We did not. We would not have expected Vlaco. Well, we might have expected Vlaco to get half of the points out of that game, those 3 games, but not this team. So I don't know if we want to say it's not working right now. I want to be fair and let him continue to do that. And if he doesn't, if it's still not being a regular win and he doesn't put Haley up there, then that's when we complain about it more so. Does that make sense? I try to be fair in how I criticize people, even when I don't like them. And I don't want to say I don't like Armis. I just didn't like the hire. He's a nice guy.
And might not be terrible at the job. Just saying.
Have a pretty good amount of talent too, which he hasn't had in some of those other teams he's had. Carrie's giving me side eye, I think.
No, I'm just looking at my other monitor and then looking back at you.
I think she was like going, "Wait, you're actually complimenting Armis?"
Yeah, I know. Well, Gabrielle Robinson had what do you call them? The little camera thing? GoPro. Yeah, so she had a GoPro. And I was watching the thing on my phone, and they eventually put out like the GoPro camera video, and I wish that they would have done like the line of like coaches coming through. Because I'm pretty sure that Robinson and Armis had like a handshake going on during that, and I wish we could have seen that.
You tell yourself, no one wants your college-era band tees. But on Depop, people are searching for exactly what you've got. You once paid a small fortune for them at merch stands. Now, a teenager who calls them vintage will offer that same small fortune back. Sell them easily on Depop. Just snap a few photos and we'll take care of the rest. Who knew your questionable music taste would be a money-making machine? Your style can make you cash. Start selling on Depop, where taste recognizes taste.
You don't wash your jersey during a win streak. You don't switch seats when your team's up big. And you definitely don't shave during the playoffs. When things are working, you don't change them. That's why when you drink Jägermeister, you drink it ice cold. Anything else? Well, that'd just be bad luck. Drink it cold or don't drink it at all. Jägermeister. Damn, that's cold.
Drink responsibly. Jägermeister liqueur, 35% alcohol by volume. Imported by Mast Jägermeister, U.S. White Plains, New York.
No one goes to Hank's for his spreadsheets. They go for a darn good pizza. Lately, though, the shop's been quiet, so Hank decides to bring back the $1 slice. He asks Copilot in Microsoft Excel to look at his sales and costs and help him see if he can afford it. Copilot shows Hank where the money's going and which little extras make the dollar slice work. Now Hank has a line out the door. Hank makes the pizza, Copilot handles the spreadsheets. Learn more at m365copilot.com/work.
Membership means more with American Express Business Gold. Earn 4 times membership rewards points in your top 2 eligible spending categories every month, including eligible U.S. advertising purchases and select media, and U.S. purchases at restaurants, including takeout and delivery. What are you waiting for? Get the card that flexes with your spending every month. Terms and points cap apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
Might have a picture of it, but that's not really
Yeah.
good enough.
I mean, everyone is just so anti-Armis. And I think there's reasons to be, but not everything has to be anti-Armis. Clearly the players like him enough to give him a handshake.
That's what I was doing. I was being fair to Armis, right?
Yes. I'm just including it because you said I was giving you the side eye.
Okay. Fair enough. I did I assume maybe it was just because I've criticized Armis in the past. You're giving me a side eye for now praising him, but
no,
I try to be fair.
Oh, good. We've seen Sperry change his mind about multiple things 3 times in 15 minutes in our chat. So.
Or on this podcast, I've talked myself out of points before. Don't
I am not going to
worry,
give.
I can do it.
Well, we all can to a certain extent, but I'm not going to give any specific examples, but there has been more than a few times where he'll text and say, "We're going to do this, and we're going to roast these people, or we're going to like blah, blah, blah," and say that it just tear them apart, and we get to the pod recording. He's like, "Oh yeah,
So I really
insert
like this
player's name here was
person.
actually pretty good that game. I looked up the stats later, and they were great."
It's one of those too of like in the moment you think things and you're just like,
Yes.
"Ah," light it off, and then you're like, oh, okay, it really isn't that serious. It's okay.
No, and again, I totally understand that because I sometimes walk off the field like, oh, that sucked or whatever, right? But again, with referees, with coaches, I try to be fair and go back and look at this and look at the replays and look at my photos and hear some other viewpoints at times too. I try to be intellectually honest about these things, but sometimes right after a game, reactions are not as positive.
This is why we don't record immediately after games.
And that's why those would all be hot takes. I think even usually soon after a game, we're pretty good. It's just sometimes right in the middle of that, like, what the hell are you doing? All right. What else do we need to talk about? We went away a while without having a pod. We've discussed the Gotham game, 2 Teal Rising games. We've talked about Haley, talked about Lainey Rouse. I'm going to put this on Carrie now.
I've talked enough.
Without saying Haley Hopkins or Lainey Rouse or Amelia White, is there a player that gave you thumbs up, vibes up, stock up, whatever type of, however you want to describe it?
I mean, not really stock up because we already know she's good, but like there is something about watching Davinia play against other Brazilian players that you're just like, God damn, Davinia, can we play a Brazilian team every week? Because like you're good, but for some reason you're just always on the next level.
Fair enough. All right, Sperry, now the spot's on you.
I have to pick someone that hasn't been said yet.
Yes.
I'm gonna go. I got 2 spots. I'm gonna do a half each, and I'll keep it quick. I'm gonna give Izzy Rodriguez a lot of credit. She came on and I thought she was really good in the sub. She was exactly what the current needed in that moment. Some experience. The ball that she plays in for the goal for Clark is phenomenal cross. She did it like 3 more times the next game. And for a player who's kind of a fringe national team player to go out and play that well, it could be a moment where she's feeling a little down on herself, a little frustrated she's not at camp in there while Lily Real is there after just getting roasted by, maybe 70% healthy Michelle Cooper. She's wondering why am I not in the mix right now? And put out 2 incredible performances. So Izzy's one of my shouts. And then I just have to take Croy in the midfield. I have been really impressed with her in the 8. Kind of dual pivot, more much more aggressive, active going forward. 6, I guess, if you want to call it, next to Low. But I just think what she's brought from a bite intensity has been really impressive. Not that it's something that I didn't know she was capable of, but she wasn't ever in a place to show that regularly with Washington, just because of the way that they played and the players that they had in their midfield too. She was needed to be a little bit more of a 10, a creator, and I thought I thought just the aggressiveness that she went into it with against some pretty aggressive and kind of chippy Brazilian midfields was impressive. Although Palmeiras was much more traffic coney than Corinthians was, but she really held her own against Corinthians too.
One reason I actually asked this was because I was talking in the second half of that game against Palmeiras. I went to the other end of the field and was walking down the stairs to go to the field it was a few minutes into the second half. And then I recognized somebody in the stands, and so I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I sat down and talked to him for a few minutes. And one of the questions I said is like, if you could take one player off this team to start an expansion team, who would it be? And they're like, "Well, duh, Tim Chawinga." And I went, "Okay, fair. If it was me though, I would take Izzy Rodriguez." And they're like, like looked at me like I was crazy. I'm like, "Well, first of all, Timwa is coming off of a hip injury and may never be as good as she once was, or may reoccur or whatever. But having a solid outside back that can lead the league in assists and is at an age where she could be around for another 10 years doing exactly that." I said, uh, I think Izzy would be the player I would tick. And there's very valid reasons to take other players, but I'm just a big Izzy fan. So that's who's my pick of favorite player from this last few games. So that's why I went, damn it, when you said Izzy.
I feel that would have been, this tournament would have been a really great opportunity for Gianna Paul to showcase herself a bit, but and I'm disappointed that it didn't work out for her.
Yeah.
But hopefully we can get her kind of back in the mix soon, because I did like what I had seen from her in bits and pieces. But yeah, just she would have been a player that I think up top would have really kind of shown out in a game, especially like maybe in the second half against Palmeiras. Would have been an option. So
she might have taken goals from Haley. So
might have. This team is probably the only team in NWSL history to have 2 back-to-back MVPs.
In Teal Rising Cup, yes.
Yeah, you have a back-to-back league MVP and a back-to-back Teal Rising Cup MVP. No team can say that, Thad.
Absolutely true.
In soccer history.
Absolutely true. You kind of leave me at a loss for words there without me saying mean thing.
You gotta think like a PR staff sometimes.
No, I don't. No, that's
welcome to the spin zone. All right, on to the next.
What else do we have to talk about? Because I don't think we're really going to preview the next game a week and a half out. Are we?
Jeff Kassouf reported.
Is this one that just dropped?
Yeah, not too long before this podcast was recorded, that the NWSL is voting recently, or soon, potentially soon, and it's starting to heat up again, that the league might vote again, or will vote on moving to a fall spring calendar and doing the calendar flip like MLS is.
Yay.
I say yay as well. I want them both. I know I'm sorry for those of you who kind of wanted, we don't have to worry about it in Kansas City, but for those in markets where you got to worry about venue issues, you have to worry about it less. Come this way if you flip the calendar that way. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, Atlanta's going to be playing in Atlanta. And so they're going to have the Falcons and college football all through that kind of, and like the college football playoffs potentially all through that around there. That's going to now be in the break. And there won't have to deal with a ton of NFL football stuff for playoff times. And we're like, we got to hold this playoff game on a Tuesday at 9 p.m. Central Time, because the Seattle Seahawks had a football game on Sunday night or Monday Night Football, and they had to have the football field up before, and all, just tons of dumb reasons why we've seen some of the times that we have for MLS playoffs.
True.
So I'm all for this. I think it eliminates some of the stadium congestion. It also with outside parties, and I also think it is good for the whole of the federation to have everybody on the same calendar.
Not sure if it eliminates as many of the games conflicts as you think, because they'll start the league will start about the time college football is starting.
They will
NFL.
share more of a season versus playoffs.
Right. It kills the playoffs. It hurts the playoffs, but the regular season.
But you can plan for like regular season stuff around those dates. And the NFL is all played on Sundays. So do a Friday game if you need to, or just stay out of that market if you can. And I'm sure I'm not saying there won't be any, but we minimize them in the most crucial of times.
I think it's easier said than done in trying to tell venues to just stay out of that market whenever we're still seeing teams that are 4 or 5 in their tier list in their stadiums. So,
And that's another situation to address as a whole. I think.
we should just all build stadiums. Or, hear me out, let's not go European. Let's just not be look, there's a reason why we dropped tea in the harbor. Let's not be English. Let's keep our own schedule.
I don't think I've ever been more proud of you, Carrie.
Thank
You know,
you.
I'll say
There-
this.
There's an entire video that was lost in the archives that we had for the MLS Switch. I threw tea into the Lawrence River just for the video to be lost.
Why is the video lost?
Reasons certain people have it.
Mm.
Do we need to send in elite hackers?
Oh, I wish. That might be the best video we've ever done too. We did it 60. I'll just tell you guys, we did it 60-minute style. We had Joss complaining about it like has a light behind him, so it's just his shadow complaining about the MLS Switch. Complaining about Europeans, honestly. So
I should not talk on air about hacking somebody's computer. So that will never happen.
no. But if you know someone, let me know.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I've always been for the calendar change for MLS. I would like to have them all on the same calendar. It just makes like okay, here's the thing. For me as a journalist and my job, this is the selfish point. I want their off season to coincide with my kids' summer. So I am not spending every single night with my kid of the weekends throughout the entire summer with my kids wondering like not being able to do stuff at night with them, not being able to go do that stuff. Oh, I can't go anywhere on the weekends because I have games to cover, and trying to take vacation in the middle of the season is very difficult. If they're in the off season, I can roll on life on a laptop at that point. I don't have to worry about games. I just when breaking news comes, or I can completely disconnect if need be and not miss a whole lot, depending on the timing of it. And I just want that very badly.
Okay, so you do have your selfish reasons, and that's fair. I was kind of hoping for them to not do the change, at least not for a while, because then there would be a big chunk of the seasons that would not overlap, and we'd be fighting to get to multiple availabilities in the same day. Because that the two teams in town seem to like to overlap a lot of things. So that was my personal reason for not wanting it. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter a lot to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. For MLS, I think it benefits them for getting players a lot easier and incorporating them at the beginning of their seasons instead of in the middle of their seasons. For NWSL, it matters, but it matters less, I think.
I think it's starting to matter more though, as you watch more of the Americans when they're going over and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we are exporting more of our stars than I think we are importing stars at the moment. And we're great at creating them, but we've had a lot of significant exports recently that I think are very it would be nice to be able to be a player in the markets at the right time for said players. It's really hard to convince it. Can you imagine, the summer before or the winter, before World Cup's coming in the summer, right? And you're a team in the NWSL and you're sitting down in front of a player in Europe. Let's say it's Alexia Patelis, and or Salma Paralluelo. You're trying to convince her to come to the NWSL from Barcelona ahead of a World Cup year, and you're going to say, we're going to pay you all of this money. We believe in this. oh, psych, by the way, you literally are not going to play for 3 months after we transfer you here.
Yeah.
Because of the timing of the windows. It's in it as the women's soccer continues to grow, the market issues are going to become the same for the NWSL eventually, and I think it might be smart for them to position themselves in this way too.
Again, a very fair point. Because it hasn't caused a ton of pain yet, it's
'Cause
not been my concern.
I want to see Irene Paredes next to Lola Bonta in the midfield. I want to see the Spanish national team's number 6 next to Lola Bonta in the midfield, carving teams up and throttling people off the ball.
So they should switch to our schedule.
No.
Why pander to the Europeans?
Because we're the only ones who run this stupid schedule. Why make
Not
everyone switch
true.
to us?
Because the world is centered on the US. The entire universe goes around the US. Goes around Kansas City specifically.
Goes around Carrie Robinson. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, wherever I go, actually.
The world is in orbit around me.
Jessica Berman does not get the final say. I get the final say.
I would. You know what? The joke I'm about to crack, I'm just going to keep it for off air. We're going to leave this.
And with that, I think we're going to wrap up. Any last words?
No.
All right.
I've said enough today.
Go Current.
Yay. We're out.
Attention passengers, we've now reached our destination. We hope you enjoyed the flight and have a nice day.